Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Walmsley. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We're a growing global community of over 185,000 now across our 8 arts and culture LinkedIn groups. I don't get to meet everyone, as you can imagine, but when I do, it's a pleasure, and that's absolutely the case today. Yannick has joined me today. Yannick is one of our full members, for which many thanks, because we're entirely member funded as a community. We have 321 full members at the last count. So I've done quite a few of these interviews, which is great.
Right.
Yannick, thank you so much for being a member and for joining me to do this today. We're going to have some fun in a moment. We're going to create your fantasy cultural year. But before we do that, I wonder if you'd be kind enough to say hi to everyone and tell us a bit about you and the work you do.
Yes, hi, Mark. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, and I am so happy to be one of the members of the ACN. And actually, it's a great platform for connections. I made a few connections since I've been here, and so I'm looking forward to even making more and to being an active member of the platform. So a little bit about me. I mean, it would take like years. I don't know how much time we have because I'm a very complex individual with different hats, so many different hats. So, but I would say if we were to come down to um, a description, I would say creative writing is at the heart of what I do. I would say storytelling as well is at the heart of what I do, and also just human flourishing. I'm about human flourishing and relationship. I believe that for humanity to flourish, it has to start with us first. And then hopefully, as we flourish ourselves, we can take along people around us and create a better world. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's great. When we last met, we were scribbling down words to use to try and capture this. I've just
Right.
written down another one, flourishment.
Flourishment, yes.
Flourishment, as in nourishment, but flourishment.
Yes. Oh, that's
And
nice. I love
and I
it.
love the fact that you got this focus on relationships of all kinds. They
Right.
could be love, filial, paternal,
Yes.
corporate,
Yes.
professional.
Yes.
Yes, if you can get your story over to somebody
Mhm.
in a way that's compelling and empathetic and sympathetic. Um, I imagine those relationships are much, much more successful if you can. That comes down to great communication, and if you
Yes.
can do that creatively, I think that's wonderful. You've reminded me of the three things I try and get into everything I write:
Right.
clarity, brevity, and wit.
Okay.
If I can get those three in, then it
Right.
works. The best example of that I heard was I met somebody at a networking event and I asked her what she did for a living, and she said, I count other people's money.
Okay.
She's an accountant.
All right. Right. Right.
But that had clarity,
Yeah.
brevity, and
Yeah.
wit.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
So wonderful. So wherever this appears, Yannick, there'll be a profile about you wrapped around this interview with links to your work and how people can connect with you. So if you're enjoying this interview, do please connect with Yannick. Wonderful. Now we're going to have some fun. I'm
Okay.
going
Let's
to
go.
I'm going to create your fantasy cultural year.
Okay.
There are no wrong answers. You'll be
Okay.
pleased to know.
Okay.
Um, and I'm going to make it based on the work you do and how that can benefit others around the world.
Mhm.
Because if you sat Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin down to do a
Right.
workshop
Right.
on telling reflective stories about
Okay.
coming from their hearts,
Right. Right.
um, I think the end result would be a better world. I wrote
Absolutely.
I wrote the phrase down, didn't I? Reflective stories that travel. So the
Mhm.
travel is going to be the key because I'm going to
Right.
send you around the world to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
But first of all, I need to place you somewhere in the world. So I'm going to do that by asking you, what's your favorite building?
Favorite building. Hmm. I would say, I suppose just on top of my head, I would say the Empire State Building in New York.
Nice.
Yeah. I would say.
Empire State of Mind as well. That's quite nice as well.
Yes, yes, yes. I like that.
That's great. So I'd like you to imagine you're sitting at on a sidewalk cafe bar within sight of the Empire State Building in Manhattan in New York. It's June. It's 6 p.m. It's a lovely, warm, sunny evening, and the sun is coming down, shining off the building, and you're enjoying the view. And there's a drink on the table next to you. What would we find there at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m.?
Oh, I would say, yeah, just a natural organic, juice because I like, yeah, it's part of the my healthy kind of like lifestyle because my life is all about health. So it's like a holistic type of way of being health. So I would say a nice organic juice. So yeah,
Nice.
fruit
And there's
juice.
a book, and there's a book on the table next to the drink. What would we find there?
hmm The book would be a book that I recently is actually one of my that I consider to be one of my go-to book. It's called Deep Work. So doing the deep work.
Do you recall who that's by?
It is by Chapman, but I don't remember exactly. I think it's Chapman. Chapman. His name is Chapman, but it's called Deep Work. I can
Okay.
check.
Is it uh,
Alan Chapman, I think.
Cal Newport?
Yes, Cal Newport. Yes, yes, that's the
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Cal Newport.
yes.
Great. Okay. Now there's also music playing in your headphones.
I would say a little bit of jazz music. I like jazz music. Yeah, and
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
Modern or trad or
Tried. Yeah.
traditional jazz. There we go. You see, we've summed it up already. You're in New York. The
Yes.
sun is shining. You've got some organic juice. You've got the deep workbook and some jazz going on. You won't be surprised to learn that no one else has picked that exact combination, which is great. Now, I'm going to, you've just come from a meeting in
Mhm.
the Empire State Building with a
Okay.
wealthy New York-based family foundation
Okay.
who support arts and culture projects
Right.
when they hear. They got wind of the work you're doing on reflective stories that change relationships.
Right.
Um, and not surprisingly, they think that could help people like Trump and Putin.
Okay.
Not necessarily those two individuals, but they would like to hire you for a year.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
The fee is enormous.
Okay.
Okay. They
Okay.
would like you to travel around the world to places of your choice
Okay.
to do workshops on reflective stories that change relationships
Okay.
in not conflict zones, but in areas where there is strife.
Right. Right.
Okay. So you could have done it in Northern Ireland in the 1970s.
Okay.
You could do it now um, between the United States and um, Iran,
Right.
you
Right.
know, but it's also where there is perhaps some racial tension that needs to be dispersed, um, prejudice, you know, so and or tr any kind of tribal competitiveness that needs to be dissipated.
Right.
Because if you can just nip that in the bud, then the violence doesn't happen. So
Right.
it's a we're going to call it peace talks.
Okay. 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 Okay.
I love it
Okay.
when those. I love it. Peace talks.
Okay.
Peace talks with
Yeah.
Yannick. Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be a practical workshop, but you're going to do some lecturing as well. Now, the media got wind of this.
Right.
Okay, when the marketing people at the Family Foundation told the media what you were doing, they
Right.
want to send a TV crew with you.
Okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
there'll be a book deal in it.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be a, a global university lecture tour after you've
Okay.
done it as
Okay.
well,
Okay.
if you want, and a TED talk.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so
Okay.
that's the plan.
Right.
It's first class all the way. You can
Okay.
choose where you go, and you stay in the most incredible locations.
Okay.
Does that sound like fun?
It does actually. Pretty much fun. Yes. I love this idea already. I can see myself there already. You're taking me taking me there.
Okay, so you need to decide where you're going to start. So we're going to fly from New York.
Okay.
You can go anywhere in the world.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be a conflict zone or a strife zone, just places that you'd love to visit, perhaps.
Okay.
and meet interesting people. So where would you like to go first? You can go anywhere in the world.
Okay. I would say for a peace talk, I would say, well, maybe I would start in Washington D.C. Next to the White
Yeah.
House. That
Yeah.
would definitely be the first point because I guess whatever happens in the U.S. kind of has an impact in the world. So I would start maybe at the not too far. We go to the White House.
Okay. So you're on the plane.
Yes.
It's a short hop.
Right.
Um, and when you get to Washington, a group of young creative writing students have been asked to take you under their wing. Okay. They whisk you off to a lovely loft apartment above a government building. I gather Washington is monuments and government buildings mainly.
Yes. Probably.
Um,
Yeah.
you're within view of the White House, and
Right.
they say, right, relax, unpack, make yourself at home. We're going to come back and we're going to take you out to a dance performance
Hmm.
and to dinner.
Okay.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
this is where my magic wand and the time machine come in
Okay.
because I've got both for the purposes of this interview.
Right.
We can travel in time, I can put anything on the stage. So if I could put any dance-based performance on the stage in front of you,
Hmm.
what would you like to see?
Um, I would say not quite dance, but I would say if I'm allowed, I would say a spoken word, maybe performance, poetry, and yeah, poetry and like creative poetic work.
Love
So
it.
yeah,
How about we create that? How about we invent, because we can do anything.
right.
It's the it's the it's it's called word steps.
Okay.
Okay. I
Mhm.
love coming up with these names. It's called Word Steps. It's a hybrid festival of poetry and dance.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I like that.
So you're sitting there watching, and a poet comes up, and dancers improvise around what they hear.
Right. Right.
So if someone's rapid fire, it's going to be very different from something really quite lyrical
Yes. Absolutely.
and poetic. So
Yeah.
wonderful, great idea. We should do that. Word Steps. Um, Excellent. Now they're going to take you out to dinner afterwards. Now Washington's got restaurants from all over the world. Every national cuisine is covered. What would you choose?
I would definitely say Asian cuisine. I would say maybe a Thai or a Korean. Yeah, because I like seafood and yeah, this type of thing. Yeah, maybe
Nice.
Washington might not be the best place for seafood. I would have maybe I would have it would have been better to choose a place near the sea. But yeah, but let's find a seafood restaurant in Washington. This
Yeah, we can do that. There'll be somewhere not too far away. Fantastic. On the coast there. Excellent. Now we're going to fly again. It's been a
okay.
success in Washington. Where would
Okay.
you like to go next? Anywhere in the world.
Okay. So been a success in Washington. Anywhere else? Well, my instinct is telling me to go. I mean, if we're still in the peace talk, kind of business, yeah, I would say yeah, Israel and yeah, because Israel and yeah, because obviously
Yeah.
there's the Middle East, somewhere in the Middle East. Yeah,
Okay, let's go to Tel Aviv.
yeah,
Um, Now, when we get to Israel, it's sport day in
okay,
Israel. Okay.
right.
We've had breakdancing in the Olympics, so some sport is almost performance art.
Hmm.
Um, I can put any sporting event in front of you in Tel Aviv. What would you like to watch?
Oh, I would watch football, that's for sure. Yes.
Gridiron or soccer?
Well, soccer, I suppose. Yeah,
Soccer. Okay,
yeah,
good.
soccer. Yeah.
English football rather than
English football.
American.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Well, it just so happens that the World Cup is happening.
Okay.
And it's years ahead. There's peace everywhere.
Mhm.
Everyone's getting on fine. And the World Cup is in the Middle East to celebrate peace in the Middle East.
All right.
Brilliant. And they've got new stadiums and everything. Fantastic. Now let's buzz again. Let's go somewhere else from Tel Aviv. Where are we going next?
Okay, so Okay. Are we still doing the peace talk?
We can do we can do. You get a chance to spend time with some young children as well.
Okay. Okay.
So where would you
Some
like
young,
to go?
some young people.
Young people, yeah.
Yeah, I would say, hmm, where would I go? Yeah, I think maybe somewhere in, yeah, maybe somewhere in Africa. I would go somewhere in Africa.
Hmm.
Maybe Senegal or like one of those. Yeah, an African country, any African country.
Senegal sounds like a great idea. So
Okay,
let's do
let's go to
Senegal.
Senegal. Yeah. Okay.
Now, when we get there, there is in our fantasy world, there is a new digitally enhanced art gallery in Senegal,
Okay.
and you can put on virtual reality glasses,
Okay.
step into the work of a famous artist, and walk around inside the picture.
Okay. Okay.
It's 360 degrees, three-dimensional. There's sound and movement if you want. You can see in 3 dimensions what the artist could only show us in 2 dimensions.
Mhm.
So, and you can choose any artist you like, famous or otherwise. Which artists, visual artists' work would you like to step into?
I'm thinking Basquiat.
Basquiat.
Yeah.
Nice. How do you spell that? Um,
BASQ QIA, I think.
uh,
Or
Jean-Michel Basquiat.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Or any of the artists from the pop, like the pop culture artists, visual.
yeah.
Yeah, I like them as well.
Wow. Let me show this to everyone so they can see what you're going to be diving into. This will be a trip. This will be a trip.
Yes,
Have I chosen the right guy?
yes, that's the guy. Yes,
Fantastic.
that's
Can you
yeah,
imagine walking around in these pictures?
absolutely. Yes, this is just
Oh, Basquiat with Warhol there.
yes. This is like one of Warhol apprentice.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. Great choice. I love that. Excellent. Now I'm going to whisk you back to London,
Okay,
and we're going out together every night of the week to do something cultural.
right.
Um, on Monday, we're going back in time to a music show, a concert.
Okay,
On Tuesday, we're going to the theatre.
okay,
On Wednesday, we're going to see a West End or Broadway musical.
okay,
On Thursday, it's opera or ballet.
okay,
And on Friday, it's movie night.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
And between us, we can decide what we see.
Right.
So for Monday, is there a musical event or concert that you went to that you'd love to go back in time and experience again?
Hmm.
Or is there one that you missed and would like to have been able to go to?
Yeah, there's a jazz artist by the name of Richard Bona. He's a bassist, and
Hmm.
I've missed a few of his concerts, and I would definitely would want to, yeah, because he travels all around the world, kind of like to for shows and stuff. But I've basically missed a lot of his concerts. I would love to attend one of his concerts.
That sounds good. Bona,
Yeah, Bona. Yeah,
um, oh
legendary
yeah,
Richard. Yeah, legendary bassist. Yeah.
yeah. Let me just find pictures of them so that everyone, yeah. Have I got the right guy? Let's show everyone. There he is.
That's the guy. Yes, yes.
Wow. My favorite bass player, I think, would be Nathan East.
Okay, okay.
Love Nathan
Yeah,
East. Fantastic. Great. Richard Bonner,
yeah.
bass player. I'm going to have a listen. Who's the guy who's done a lot of stuff on his own? Oh, the name escapes me. He plays Amazing Grace, and he keeps adding layers to it.
Mm.
Victor Wooten.
Yes, I've heard. Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah,
Amazing stuff.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Great. Fantastic. Tuesday, a play. Now we're in London, so we can go to Shakespeare's Globe if you wish for some
Mhm,
Shakespeare. But is
mhm.
there a play you'd particularly like to see, Yannick?
Mm, yeah, I mean, we could do Shakespeare. We could do Hamlet, the traditional. Yes.
That would be great. Hamlet
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
Shakespeare's Globe.
Yes.
Yeah, the recreation of what it was looking like in the 15th century, for the 16th
Yes.
century. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mhm.
Now, what about a West End musical or a Broadway musical?
Mm, there is one that I would like to see, Broadway with Tracy Ellis Ross. I mean, it's just literally she's just been working on it. I've heard of it recently. I think it's quite recent as well. I mean, she did it
Okay.
this year. I would love to go and see it and watch it.
Is it called Grace?
Can
Um,
you show it to me?
Hang on. It's a musical and she's in it, is she?
Yes, yes, yes. And it's I think it's on right now in Broadway at the moment,
Okay.
or it was in or earlier in the summer.
Um, yeah, there's quite a few there. Let me just share so you can have a look.
Okay.
And it's Tracy EE, isn't it, as well? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Let me show you and you can see if it's one that you recognize. There you go. Every Brilliant Thing.
Yeah, it's the yeah, every brilliant thing. Yes, yes.
Yeah, great.
That's the
Oh,
one.
I'll
Yeah.
have to have a listen to that. Fantastic. Great choice. And do you prefer opera or ballet?
I would say mm, maybe opera. Yeah.
Yeah, are you an opera fan
Not
particularly?
not particularly, but I would prefer opera over ballet. Yeah.
Okay, well, I could suggest a really good introduction to opera is Tosca by
Okay.
Puccini.
Okay. Okay.
Wonderful, wonderful opera. The music's so powerful.
Right.
Now, have you heard of the Sphere, the cinema in Las Vegas?
I've heard of it. Yes. Yes.
It's a huge dome, and you
Hmm.
sit in your complete vision, almost 180 degrees, is filled with the screen.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've
Let
heard of
me,
it. Yes. Hmm.
yeah. Um, Here we go. I'll show you. It's quite incredible.
Have you been? Have you been there?
No, I'm
Okay.
keen to.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is the audience and this is the screen.
Right.
So you sit back and you watch like that. So they do shows there, but with this is the background for the show.
Okay. Right.
Incredible place. What movie would you like to watch in that cinema?
I would say Avatar. Avatar.
Great. We'll do all of them. We'll do one after the other.
Okay.
We'll have Mark and Yannick do Avatar Day. That would be great. Now we're nearly there.
Okay.
Thank you for doing this so far. But I'm going to, before I send you off to complete this wonderful year and all
Right.
the work after it, you become the go-to. You're at Davos. You're at all the peace talks.
Right.
You're that wonderful storytelling, reflective, um, charming expert that they want on the place because when you're around, other people are nicer to each other, right?
Okay. Nice. I like it.
Yeah. So, but I'm going to give you one more event. It's called the Hero Lunch. You can
Okay.
invite one person to have lunch with you in London.
Mhm.
It can be anyone you like, famous or otherwise, living or not. It can be a historical figure or even a character, a fictitious character. Who would you like to have lunch with?
I would say either Nelson Mandela.
Great choice.
Yeah, Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King Jr.
What a lunch.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the conversation between
I
those
know,
two?
right?
That's a lovely thing. That's a fantastic idea to finish on. Yannick, thank you so much for doing
Yeah,
this.
thank you
Please
so
don't
much.
rush off, but for the
Okay.
time being, thank you very much for being a full member and for being such a good sport. If you're watching and you'd like to connect with Yannick, please look around wherever this appears for contact details. But Yannick, for the time being, thank you very much for being such a good sport. It's lovely to do it with you.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark. It was fun. It was great fun doing this. Yeah.